From eating the wrong breakfast to sunlight in the night, here's the top blatant mistakes in award-winning films. If you're not mesmerized by Marlon Brando, then you might remember this little slip in The Godfather.
We've known each other many years, but this is the first time you ever came to me for counsel, for help. I can't remember the last time that.
In one scene from the Godfather movie, there's a little goof-up that some eagle-eyed viewers have noticed. When Don Corleone meets with Luca Brasi at Louis' restaurant, his hands seem to magically switch places between shots, specifically when he holds out his hand to be kissed. You can see a bandage on his right index finger in one shot, and then suddenly it appears on his left index finger in the next shot. It's a small mistake, but it's something that fans of the movie have picked up on over the years. Still, the movie is one of the best of all times, so I can let this one slide. But another super hit movie with a little slip up is Forrest Gump.
Now, for some reason, I fit in the army like one of them round pegs. It's not really hard. You just make your bed real neat and remember to stand up straight.
Everyone knows the story of Tom Hanks's Forrest Gump, right? He runs across America multiple times over several years. But there's one little problem. Despite all that running and time passing by, Forrest never seems to age or show any physical changes. His hair gets longer, sure, but that's about it. It's kinda convenient for a story that's supposed to be about aging over time, don't you think? Some viewers have pointed out this goof, but others just enjoy the heartwarming tale of a man who never lets anything hold him back, not even age. Sometimes it's the age, sometimes it's the clothes. In Gladiator, there seems to be a bit of a clothing slip-up.
Anyone here been in the army? Yes. I served with the Vinderbana. You can help me.
Russell Crowe's character Maximus is on a quest for revenge against Commodus, but some viewers have noticed a little mistake along the way. Despite supposedly only having one set of armor with him while traveling through Europe, Maximus seems to be wearing different armor throughout the film. It's a bit of a head-scratcher, but it's probably due to budget restrictions or other production reasons. While it may be a mistake, it doesn't detract from the epic battle scenes and emotional moments that make Gladiator such a fan favorite. It seems as if epic films can get away with small mistakes here and there, because the same can be seen with The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
End? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path.
Here's another little oopsie that some fans have spotted. During the epic battle at Pelennor Fields, Gandalf can be seen riding Shadowfax without any stirrups. Now, any horseback rider will tell you that's not exactly the safest way to ride a horse, let alone during a battle, let alone for a man Gandalf's age. But hey, it's all for the sake of movie magic, right? Plus, let's not underestimate the power of Gandalf the Great, and he was a wizard, so I think this one really doesn't make much sense. Despite the slip-up, the Lord of the Rings trilogy remains a beloved classic that has captured the hearts of generations of fans. But how about we talk about a film from 80 years ago? Any guesses? Have you ever seen the classic movie Citizen Kane from 1941?
We have no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Inquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
It's a real masterpiece, but even the best movies can have some mistakes. In this case, there's a bit of a blooper involving the set design. Orson Welles' character, Charles Foster Kane, is supposed to have been born in 1871, but in later scenes, he's shown sitting on furniture that looks way too modern for the time period. It seems like the set designers didn't do their historical research properly. It's a small detail that can take you out of the movie for a moment, but at the end of the day, mistakes happen even in Hollywood. It's just a reminder that making movies is a collaborative effort involving hundreds of people, and it's impossible to catch every little error. Despite the minor historical inaccuracy, Citizen Kane remains one of the greatest films of all time. It's a testament to the incredible talent of Orson Welles and his team, and even a small blooper can't detract from the overall impact of the movie. The same can be said about the movie that's been officially called the best movie of all time by IMDb. That's right, I'm talking about none other than The Shawshank Redemption.
Well? Well, what?
I see you two all the time. You're thick as thieves, you are.
So, do you remember that iconic escape scene in The Shawshank Redemption where Andy crawls through a tunnel and emerges into freedom? Well, if you look closely, there seems to be a little goof up. The scene is supposed to take place at night, but when Andy pops up out of the tunnel, you can clearly see sunlight reflecting off his face. Oops. I guess they didn't do the best job of coordinating the lighting. But hey, it's a minor mistake in an otherwise amazing movie. We can forgive them, right? And there was another little mistake about how he strung that poster back up, but it's all good. I don't mind. It was such an amazing watch. Another film that has inspired many pop culture moments while having a big inaccuracy is Titanic.
Just give me your hand. I'll pull you back over.
No! Stay where you are! I mean it! I'll let go!
No, I'm not talking about the door. But I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about when I mention the drawing scene. You know, the famous scene from Titanic where Jack draws Rose? It's a pretty powerful moment that captures the intimacy and connection between the two characters. But did you know that there's a small historical inaccuracy in that scene? As it turns out, Jack uses a modern square-sided pressed charcoal pencil to draw Rose. But those pencils weren't actually invented until after 1912, which is when the Titanic sank. He should have been using bind charcoal pencils instead. It's interesting how movies can sometimes make small mistakes like this, but it does not take away from the emotional impact of the scene. Despite the historical inaccuracy, the scene still resonates with audiences and is considered one of the most iconic moments in movie history. Plus, it's always fun to learn little tidbits of history that we may not have known before. Like I said before, sometimes it just goes to show that even in the most popular and critically acclaimed movies, there can be small errors, but they don't have to detract from the overall experience, because the same happens in 2009's Avatar. It has something to do with that scene in Avatar where Jake Sully is riding on top of the giant flying creature in Pandora. It's a pretty epic moment, right? Well, as it turns out, there's a small issue with that scene. Jake had never ridden anything before, but he seems pretty calm and collected on the back of this giant animal. It's not very realistic acting, if I'm being honest. Despite the unrealistic aspect of Jake's fearlessness, it's still an amazing scene that gets your heart racing. You can't help but feel the rush of excitement as Jake and Torix soar through the air. It's a great example of how movies can transport us to incredible worlds and experiences that we'd never be able to have in real life. So, while it may not be completely realistic, we can still enjoy the thrill of the moment and appreciate the amazing visuals that James Cameron and his team created. After all, isn't that what movies are all about? Another magical movie that was able to distract viewers from its mistake is Pretty Woman. Have you ever noticed a mistake in a movie that won awards? In the movie Pretty Woman, there's a scene where the main character is having breakfast, and if you pay close attention, you'll notice that her food changes from a croissant to a pancake. It's a small detail, but it's one of the most noticeable mistakes in the movie. Pretty Woman was even nominated for an Oscar and won a Golden Globe, but they still missed this one. It just goes to show that even award-winning movies can have some slip-ups. That's it for the most blatant mistake made in top films. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.